step back, three-pointers up. It's good. Jackson Tatum from continue to struggle. KP, ashes to ashes. Holiday off the bounce, gets into the paint, head fake layup, banks it in.
5 NBA drafts, steals ready to dominate. Of course, the buzz is still on about how the Boston Celtics showed their supremacy once again to claim a record 18th title in the playoffs. But deep down, there's no denying that the entire NBA world now has its eyes on which youngsters from the just concluded NBA drafts can really go beyond. Well, in theory, the best players are often selected first, and even though they usually end up living up to the expectations, there's no denying that some of them end up as absolute busts. But in a similar fashion, we've seen some of the later picks who weren't expected to amount to much turn out to be the stars of the show. In fact, this tends to happen more often than generally expected. And well, it all just seems like a beautiful enigma when you realize that some of the greatest players of all time were chosen outside the top 10 picks. From Hall of Famers like Steve Nash and Kobe Bryant to recent hits like Giannis and Nikola Jokic, the list goes on and on. Now, if history is anything to go by, then the 2024 draft list also has some magic hands hidden within its controversial ranks. Dark horses that may turn out to be the face of the league in the coming years. They are the potential top steals ready to dominate the NBA. Welcome back to Jam Junction, your one-stop channel for everything basketball. Today, we'll be looking at the top 5 youngsters with the potential to be huge steals in the 2024 NBA drafts, and you definitely want to stick around to discover the insane talent we have at number 1. But before we get this party started, quickly give this video a thumbs up and smash the subscribe icon for more fascinating NBA countdowns. Ready? Then let's get this ball bouncing. At number 5, we have Tristan Newton. If you're looking for an ideal definition of a sleeper in the just concluded 2024 NBA draft, then Tristan Jamal Newton may just be your guy. Of course, at 23, he's already shown glimpses into what he can really do if given the chance.
And they're there on the catch.
Newton from deep, got it!
But he remained pretty much a dark horse going into the drafts, and it reflected in his position. But don't mistake it, because this young baller really has what it takes to rub shoulders with the best of the best. Right from his days as a point guard in East Carolina, and then even after he transferred to the University of Connecticut, Tristan has always shown flashes of brilliance that set him out as a pure talent. In fact, he proved to be the cornerstone for UConn as he led them to their 5th NCAA as their star player. But to solidify his claim as a rising baller headed for the top, he then picked up the Best Player of the Tournament award after leading his UConn Huskies into back-to-back NCAA triumphs. Now, even though the Indiana Pacers eventually snapped him up in the second round of the drafts, you have to be wondering how a skillful guard ended up as the 49th overall pick, right? Well, perhaps it's because of his one weakness that has always been obvious. It's his abysmal three-point shooting accuracy. And you'll definitely agree that that's one of the more attractive talents franchises look for in youngsters. But then, if that's why this young baller was ignored as a top pick by other franchises, you really can't help but feel the Pacers got mighty lucky there. I mean, we've seen the worst shooters transform into absolute beasts from the line before. Plus, even if Tristan's shooting doesn't improve quickly enough, his all-round play means you're still left with an absolute baller, and that's what makes him a big steal. Number 4, Pelle Larsson. Larsson's 2024 draft selection wasn't the most impressive, considering that he was selected as the 44th overall pick. Anyone who followed this young lad's college basketball journey would agree his career has been on an upward trajectory from the very beginning.
Johnson to Larsson. Larsson sidestep three-pointer. Good!
As a baller who has never had a better season, it's clear that the 23-year-old takes it upon himself to improve his game each year, and that's the mark of any true baller. But beyond all of that, Larsson still emerges as one of those players you take one look at and just know they're ready for the NBA. Standing at 6'5", the guard already looks the part. But he's not just about the looks, because he has shown he got the goods too. Listen, folks, if Larsson's college statistics are anything to go by, and you bet it is, then you don't need to look too hard to see how well he holds his own as a defensive cover. In addition to that, the big lad has also emerged as an offensive asset, boasting incredibly steady hands that are evident in his shooting stats. But then, his one skill that drops jaws the most is his ability to scan the court and quickly pick out his teammates with defense-splitting passes. Of course, his game is still a little far from fully refined, but you just know he's one name that will be making the rounds in the coming years. Number 3, Zach Edey. Zachary Chain Edey was one of the surprise picks of the first rounds, seeing that the Canadian was selected as the 9th overall pick, even before highly coveted names like Cody Williams and Nikola Topic. Well, kudos to the Memphis Grizzlies, who have shown what could only be elite talent identification. You see, despite his early selection, Zach was one of those that the bookmakers had predicted to go much later in the second round of the drafts. But don't let the odds fool you, because this kid has already shown to have what it takes to upset the entire NBA even at 22.
Doesn't rotate inside, easy basket.
Edey comes back in for the final minute. They go right to him. He's got a dozen.
I mean, his is definitely a tale of natural talent, because he didn't even play basketball until his sophomore year in high school. However, it didn't really matter, because once he eventually stepped onto the court in Snickers, it was pure magic. Zach Edey played college basketball at Purdue, and that was where his natural talents really hit the roof. First of all, standing at 7 feet 4, it's easy to see why Edey dominated college basketball so aggressively. His incredible abilities are also reflected in his mind-blowing stats, as the youngster managed at least 22 points and 12 rebounds in both his junior and senior years. However, with Zach, the stats certainly do not tell the whole story. You watch him play and can't help but wonder how a big lad could show such impressive athleticism and a clean pair of heels. He has emerged as an asset on both ends of the court, but more so on the attacking front, where he demonstrates elite attacking instincts on every play. There's absolutely no doubt that he's headed for the very top, and the Memphis Grizzlies will be the #1 benefactors when the time comes. Number 2 on this list tells the tale of a modern-day unicorn. His name is Isaiah Collier. Talk about youngsters who have got a rare combination of incredible skills and domineering physiques, and it will be hard to look beyond this rising baller. At the tender age of 20, Collier is already making a claim as the next generation unicorn, and rightly so too. But for Collier, it's not much about the height, but the weight. Of course, at 6 feet 3, he's not on the short side. But then, it's his 205-pound frame that makes him unplayable. And boy, does he know how to use this lethal weapon. You take a peek into his college basketball highlights.
The easiest part is probably, playing basketball. As far as just building that relationship on the court with all my teammates, it was kind of easy coming in and doing that. And then, the hardest part, I'll just say, just learning how to play the college way of basketball, really, to be honest, as far as just like defense and all that, so yeah.
And you really can't help but notice how he bullies opposing players for fun, powering his way to the rim like a bulldozer on full throttle. However, it's not just his physical abilities that set him apart. Collier also exhibits incredible technical brilliance, and this is usually highlighted by his A+ vision and passing range. One aspect of his game that will need a lot of improvement, though, is his shooting, and that's probably why he was overlooked for the first 28 rounds of the just concluded NBA drafts. That and the fact that his form is not the most consistent. However, the Utah Jazz, who had just risked the pick, will be hoping for high rewards from their new point guard. Of course, they might be asking for too much if they expect him to hit the ground running immediately. But then, it's almost certain that this youngster has what it takes to be a valuable wild card in the near future. Number 1. Reed Sheppard. Well, Isaiah Reed Sheppard has hardly ever been considered a potential sleeper for the drafts, not even by the bookmakers themselves. However, not many would have foreseen him going 3rd overall either, but it seems the Houston Rockets had seen what other franchises failed to see, and that's a proper baller who is primed and ready to dominate.
The transfer, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Sheppard, 3 of 3 from deep.
Even at the young age of 22, Reed Sheppard has never shied away from showing what he's made of on the court. And damn, this kid can play. The shooting guard who played college basketball with the Kentucky Wildcats has already demonstrated elite shooting skills that saw him rank as one of the top players in the 2023 class. He also had a stellar 2024 season on his way to a clean sweep of the Southeastern Collegiate Rookie Awards. You watch him play, and you can't help but fall in love with the beautiful game a little more. From how he moves to the way he expresses himself with the ball, you just gotta acknowledge that he is absolute greatness in waiting. But then, this young star is particularly respected for his elite shooting skills that trump any other name on the 2024 draft list. His 52% shooting success from last season is nothing short of impressive, and the young lad also boasts some insane playmaking abilities that put him up there among the draft steals of the decade. Tell you what, that's one name you'll be hearing a lot in the years to come, and you bet the NBA is definitely not ready for what is about to hit them. And there you go, folks. Do tell us which of these players you're most excited to see when the season kicks off in the comments, and be sure to hit the subscribe icon for more exciting analysis about your favorite NBA stars.